can trust me. I'm not going to give you any, I'm not going to mislead you. You know, I'm a lawman.
But they're going to have this fight, Chris.
No, they're not.
Well,
no, hold on. I'm not going to discuss that with you because I've just said the fight doesn't happen.
Since dimension is also a factor. Conor Benn being the younger man at his prime, yeah?
If I would say unhealthy, I mean, he was extremely strict.
Chris Eubank Sr.'s opposition to the proposed fight between his son, Chris Eubank Jr., and Conor Benn stems from a deeply personal and serious concern: the health and safety of his son. Eubank Sr., known for his strict principles and outspoken nature, voiced his strong disapproval of the contracted catch weight of 157 lbs, which is significantly below Eubank Jr.'s usual fighting weight. As someone who has been in the ring himself, he understands the physical toll such a weight cut can impose on a mature middleweight or super middleweight boxer.
Yeah, if he's fighting at 168, you know, you go ahead and do what, but you cannot come down to 160. I will not allow that. I will not allow it, or let me rephrase it. May the divine providence not allow that fight to ever happen. Okay? You are to stay at 168. And, you know, Matchroom, you know, let Conor go and have his illustrious career here in the United Kingdom and then in the United States, because he beats them all. That's how fantastic I think he is. Yeah, I've always backed that young man. I've always backed you, Conor. I've always backed you. Okay? You're sensible. You know, if it's true that you've said things about me which are not complimentary, I don't mind.
Chris Eubank Sr. has credited the original cancellation of the fight between Conor Benn and his son, Chris Eubank Jr., to what he describes as divine intervention, implying that a higher power stepped in to stop something that wasn't meant to take place. He highlighted his personal decision to call off the bout, drawing on his experience as both a father and a former world champion. Eubank Sr. made it clear that he will always speak up and act if he believes a situation puts his son at risk. Although he expressed respect for Conor Benn's talent and determination, Eubank Sr. voiced concern over the people guiding Benn's career. He questioned whether their focus lies more in business interest than in safeguarding the fighter's long-term health. His position is firm. While he acknowledges Benn's abilities, his top priority is his son's safety. Therefore, he cannot support a match that he believes could endanger that. His message reflects a strong concern for the potential dangers both athletes could face in such a high-intensity showdown.
You can trust me. Yeah, you've seen me get up in a fight I can't win and walk back into the fire. You can trust me. I'm not going to give you any, I'm not going to mislead you. You know, I'm a lawman.
But they're going to have this fight, Chris.
No, they're not.
Well,
no, hold on. I'm not going to discuss that with you because I've just said the fight doesn't happen.
You can't
it's
stop
finished.
It, you can't stop it.
Again, I stopped it the first time. But you want me to qualify that?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
When the fight was made, I said that fight is not happening. I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything again up until the day of the fight, where it was cancelled the day before. So let's do the same thing again. Fine.
Chris Eubank Sr. has always played a disciplined and guiding role in his son's boxing career. His approach wasn't just about teaching the sport, but about shaping Eubank Jr. into a fighter who followed his vision of greatness. He instilled focus, purpose, and a distinct style he believed would lead to success. Now, Eubank Sr. is openly critical of the sport's direction. He believes boxing has become more about hype and big names than real skill. His frustration with his son's career is clear when he says, "I trained you and gave you an extraordinary start." He feels Eubank Jr.'s natural talent has been lost, especially under the influence of Roy Jones Jr., which, in his view, has made him just another ordinary fighter. For Eubank Sr., it's not just about one fight, it's about his son returning to the path that once showed true promise.
Would the public be interested in such a fight? Unfortunately, because promoters have been constantly rinsing the public with these fights, which actually are about names, not about abilities. So, you know, they would take an interest in this fight. I think it's okay for me to actually say this. I trained you. I brought you up in this boxing. I gave you an extraordinary start. That is based on your ability to box. The style that you had was...
Eubank Jr. has always been open about the challenges in his relationship with his father, Chris Eubank. Growing up under his father's strict discipline and high expectations, Eubank Jr. often felt the weight of constant pressure. He admits that the intense control over his life, particularly during his formative years, led to frustration and rebellion. This environment, coupled with limited room for self-expression, contributed to his struggles in school. Despite these difficulties, Eubank Jr. acknowledges the crucial role his father played in shaping his boxing career and style. However, there's an underlying tension when he reflects on his father's continued influence, especially when Chris Eubank claims ownership of his son's success, stating he trained him to be the man he is today. While grateful for the foundation his father provided, Eubank Jr. longs for independence, a space to define himself without being overshadowed by his father's control.
If I would say unhealthy, I mean, he was extremely strict. I got away with nothing. If I messed up in school, if I didn't do a chore, if I got into a fight with my brothers, there was physical punishment, whether it was a belt, whether it was a cane, whether it was, a slap. Back then, in the 90s, that was how you disciplined your kids. So that is where my fear obviously originated from, having to deal with that. But again, that type of punishment and that type of upbringing, that type of strictness, it made me who I am today. It prepared me for the brutality of the sport of boxing.
Chris Eubank Sr. has always believed his son, Eubank Jr., had the potential to be one of the greatest in boxing. Reflecting on their journey, he feels disappointed, thinking his son's career fell short due to not following the guidance he provided. Eubank Sr. believes that if Eubank Jr. had stuck to his training and philosophy, he would have been a dominant force. This frustration stems from the belief that deviating from the path he set led to stagnation. For Eubank Sr., it's not about missed titles, but the lost greatness he saw in his son, caused by neglecting the discipline and wisdom he had instilled.
If you don't listen, you're gonna feel.
So now he's not listening when you're winning. He can't win.
He can't win now, can he? He has never listened.
Make your mind up, Chris. 1 minute.
No, I've made up my mind. You're just hearing it for the first time.
Okay.
He's never listened. He's my son. I know what he is.
I know, better than all of us.
My son could have been a tremendous fighter. He electrified me when watching him.
I agree on that, but he hasn't been, has he?
Because he doesn't listen, and when you don't listen, okay, you have to.
Chris Eubank Sr. has openly reflected on his past, acknowledging the mistakes he made in raising his children. Especially Eubank Jr., he admits that his strict and controlling nature may have strained his relationship with his biological children, adding a layer of regret to his thoughts on his son's career. Eubank Sr. now believes his biggest mistake was not fostering a more open, understanding relationship with Eubank Jr., something that could have changed their dynamic both in and out of the ring. Their father-son relationship became even more strained after Eubank Jr.'s decision to step away from his father's guidance and chart his own path in boxing. This decision, seen as a form of betrayal by Eubank Sr., was not just about fighting in the ring, but a deeper emotional struggle for independence and respect. Eubank Jr.
Biggest thing you've been wrong about in the last year?
That's funny. My biological children. Move on.
What have you been wrong about with your biological
You asked me the question, I gave you the answer. That's private. Move on.
What's your biggest regret?
My son asked me, Sebastian, he said to me, Dad, we were in Marylebone. He said, Dad, let's go and smoke a spliff together and walk around the block. Let's walk around the block and smoke a spliff together. The greatest offer of my life I turned down because I was broke. I did something unspeakable.
What was the unspeakable thing you did?
Not your business. How dare you?
If you don't ask, you don't get.
You should know. It's called discernment. I've brought you close enough for you to understand. Be careful to question me, young man. Know your place.
Trainer, somebody who's trained fighters for a long time, do you feel like that's going to be a big part of this fight? And do you feel like it's a bit dangerous for Chris?
Well, most definitely. If anyone should know, his father, Senior, he said his mind, and now I second that opinion. That's a factor. The weight is a factor. The age, nobody seems to mention, is also a factor. Conor Benn being the younger man at his prime, yeah? Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if Ben, especially the way he fights like his father, very aggressive, yeah? And listen, if I'm gonna have to, I normally can't say to you, predict what I believe will happen. Christopher Jr. is the bigger man, granted. It depends. It depends. If he's been living the lifestyle, that's also a factor.
Frank, you've made it clear that you'd like to see Conor Benn knock out Chris Eubank Jr. You've made it clear who you want to see win that fight. How do you actually see the fight playing out, and what have you made of Chris Eubank, the way that he's carried himself in the build-up?
First of all, We all talk about the best fight and the best. That's not the best fight and the best, but it's a fight. There's a demand for it from the public because of their history. So that's why it's selling so well and doing so much business. How do I see it paying out? I don't know if Conor can give away the weight. I don't know. I hope he can.
Do you agree with Chris Eubank Sr. where he says that the fight is unsafe to make due to the weight?
That's up to his teams to decide that. It's up to the boxing board to control.